Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Off Script with Pastor Jared, joined in the studio by my good friend,
Pastor Caleb.
and
Pastor Dillon.
ready to meet your podcasting needs today. So, we're going to look at a new topic that we've never covered before on podcast. I'm pretty excited about it. This is something that Caleb was saying often new pastors get given to them when they get a job at the church, and that's exactly when I got this. So what we all have in our hand is a collection of demographics from the area. So these are using Kirby Woods building, using the Kirby Woods church building as
the office building,
the central location. There's a 1 mile, a 3 mile, and a 5 mile radius study with some facts and figures and information given about each one. So why would you have a study like this, gentlemen? Why would this ever exist?
You know, I've been given these many times, and I still am not completely sure about that.
Okay.
Isn't that why we're having this podcast, to answer that question?
What could you do with this, Dillon? Why have this?
Well, this helps me just, we're going to segue right into it. Just looking at the ages we have 4 to 5 big high school and some middle schools here right by Kirby. You have MUS, you got Hutchinson, you have Ridgeway High School, we have Westminster right down there. And so, like, even in terms just for student ministry, that's 4 potential campuses and mission fields that I can go on and reach, partner with there.
We've already sparked missions in Dillon right there. See, and that's really the point of having a demographic study like this in the hands of a church, is that so you can know your mission field, so that you can know how to reach the people that live near you. You can tailor your approach to reach the actual people. You know, what I found is that we did a lot of this church planting, and when we went to Colorado, and we always heard from people that sometimes the people who know the area the least are the ones who've lived there for a long time. Like, you actually go blind to the area you live, and you think it's what it was 30 years ago, which may not be true. And you'll find that a lot of times when you live in a place, you know, you can go nose blind to smells. You can go, I guess, just demographics blind to the area, or you live in a bubble, and so you don't actually know the area you live in. What you'll find, the reason why we're doing this is that a lot of times missionaries will study the place they're going to go serve. So if you're a missionary and you're going to a foreign country and you're going to a new city you've never been to before, let's say you're a missionary to Sao Paulo, Brazil, or something, you know, most of the time what you're going to do is you're going to go look up the stats, the figures on, all right, what kind of people live here? What are their ages? What's their race? What's their gender? What's their education levels? Or, you know, tell me about the people that live there. And so I thought, you know, hey, why don't we do this for our area? So we have the data and we can look at it. So maybe there's a few little missional takeaways that we can have. So here's what I want us to do, gentlemen, today. Our task is very simply, how would a missionary use this data that I've just given us? All right. And then what are some takeaways? What did you find interesting? Especially you, Dillon, since you grew up in the area, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's cool to see this because Kirby Woods is not like most churches, I would argue, because a lot of churches in this area I feel like are very community-based churches. But if you look at even our demographics in the church itself, we have people coming from all over.
We really do.
The city, you know, and it's
Even
the
though
two churches
we have
I've worked
3 or 4 neighborhoods right around us.
Like we're very much I call it like a tri-state church of we have people coming in from Mississippi, Arlington, all over the place that are coming here. And so this helps us in a sense because also how are we reaching our community?
Right.
You know, I think of, you know, we've done like 4 prayer walks since I've come on staff here in the neighborhoods and right over here at Kirby Woods Estates and then in Seall Park and door hangers. Like looking at these, especially at the age right now, like why in the world would we not be doing VBS door hangers, knowing that a good majority of the neighborhood behind us is like 19 and under and ages 30 to 39.
Yeah.
And so that's prime time for young families.
So let's get into some just facts that we found from the research. And so guys, be looking for your number one most interesting thing that you found in this research. All right. I'm gonna just give a little quick rundown of some things. So the first thing, just for people that are listening, how many people would you guess live within 1 mile of Kirby Woods, the building? How many people do you think live within 1 mile? And then try to guess for 3 miles and 5 miles. I know that's hard to do, but let me just tell you, so you know, total population within 1 mile of Kirby Woods is 7,924 people, more or less than you would have thought with one, and that's a 1 mile radius. So more or less than you would have thought.
So much more.
Yeah.
Well,
1 mile's not
the
that
first
much.
time I got one of these, I was at a very small church in Carthage, Texas, and 10 miles had 10,000 people. So
Yeah. No,
just the idea, that's a lot of people.
I think it
just within a
surprises
mile.
me just because I feel like our whole half behind us as I'm pointing towards Poplar,
yeah.
there's a lot of business stuff.
Yeah. There's
You
not a
know,
lot of residential there.
But like even if you look past that section, we see there's houses all the way to Wolf River and Humphreys that I think we often forget about too. Back that way.
There's a lot of.
We are in
I
a
used to
business
drive through
district, but there's, for that being true, there's still a lot of houses. So
Yeah, there is a lot of houses back there. I used to drive there on my way to work.
7,924 within a mile. As soon as you expand that to 3 mile radius, it's 70,137 people. And as soon as you expand that to a 5 mile radius, that's 228,685.
And that's in 2020.
Yes, this is 2020 information, census data. So pretty good amount of people within a small radius. So there's a lot of people to reach. That's why it's always kind of funny when churches are territorial. It's like, do you have any idea how many lost people live?
We want all of Memphis to come to
in this
Kirby.
area? Yeah. So anyway, that's just kind of get the thing started so people have an idea of how many people live within the radius. What was just give me one fact, Dillon, one fact, Caleb, that was your most interesting fact.
I was interested at looking at this now again. The median age of within a mile is age 47.
Yeah. Our 1 mile median. And remember, median means that there is as many people above as there are below. That's what a median
And
is.
to add on that, the average for the females were 51 years old, and the average for males were 43 years old.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting that the females are typically a little bit older than the males within the area. But then the 3 mile, it jumps from median age 39 in males to females to 43, and then the 5 miles is 35 and 39. So it seems like within the area we are in, typically on the older side of parents
And let's just give
adults.
let's just give a sketch for people of where we are. So if you look at Memphis on a map, Kirby Woods is East Memphis, as far east really as you can go before you get to Germantown.
Yeah.
So we're not just East Memphis, we are East Memphis, like as far as you can go. Sort of, I would say, like moving towards southeast Memphis, but not quite there. Right off of Poplar, which is a major road, not far from 385 as our major southern road, but also not far from 240 Loop, which is very close by. So, what about you, Caleb? What's maybe your top takeaway?
I thought the education was really interesting. There is a lot of associate degrees within just a mile. It's 31%, and then the bachelor's degrees being 5%.
Yeah,
A lot of trade work is kind of what that shows.
sure.
A lot of that. And then, even the master's and the professional degrees is higher than the bachelor, which just interesting to see that. And then it continues that same trend throughout the 3 mile and the 5 mile.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would not say it's a extremely highly educated area when you look at it from that. If you hold the standard being a 4-year degree.
Right.
Yeah. So
Smart people.
workers for sure.
Oh, yeah.
With that, but Yeah, so let's just do a quick rundown. If you look into some pie charts here of the age, I just made a note of the most representative decade from each one. So within 1 mile of Kirby Woods, it's almost a perfect balance of the ages. If you look at this chart, it looks like a pizza. But technically, number one would be your 30 to 39-year-olds. So my age. You guys aren't quite in that decade
one more
yet.
year.
So my people are the number one within 1 mile most represented age group. When you get to the 3 mile, now it's you guys. Within 3 miles, it's the 20 to 29-year-olds that are the most represented on the pie chart. And then when you go to 5 miles, it remains the 20 to 29-year-olds.
But only barely.
Only barely.
The 9 and under is 0.7 away.
That's right. A lot of kids. Lots of kids in this area. So that's kind of the age breakdown. The income breakdown is always interesting. This one changes a lot once you get out from right near Kirby Woods. So within 1 mile of Kirby Woods, the most represented income level is the highest income level of $150,000 annual or more. So 24% of the people who live within a mile of Kirby Woods make more than $150,000. That's a high income area.
Quarter of the population.
Yeah. So it's a higher income area the closer you get to the church. As soon as you start moving away from the church, getting to that 3 mile distance, the most common goes from the $60,000 to $100,000 range, and then it remains that as well when you go to the 5 mile. So that seems to be more Memphis. That 60 to 100, and then once you get right up close to Kirby, the pay
which
starts
is fair
rising.
Because this is a very industrial business center.
We're surrounded by financial.
Yes.
The finance district is right around us, so that makes sense. Looking at race breakdowns, we have right near Kirby, the 1 mile is mostly white, so 69.9. We'll say 70% would be white. 19, we'll say 20% is black. When you expand out to that 3 mile, you start getting less white and more black. And then again, that's true again at 5 miles. So the 3 mile radius is 59% white, 33% black, and 5 miles radius, it's almost even black and white, 45 versus 43%. So,
and the 5 mile really is getting most of, a lot more of Memphis.
Yeah.
Than
a true slice of Memphis is more the 5 mile.
Yes.
More of the Germantown, you get within the 1 to 3, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, to look at that piece, you really have almost a 50-50 breakdown at the 5 mile. And you mentioned education already. But mostly across everything, it's mostly an associate's degree or less.
Or some college.
Yeah, some college, associate's degree. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So looking at kind of this other information, what else stands out to you guys?
The other is much harder to interpret. It's a lot of lines, a lot of little lines.
Yeah. What about the marriage stats?
Where was that?
It's on page 8 of 10.
There it is. They have a lot of classifications for married.
Even looking at population 15 years and younger, we have 6,619 for marriage status, so got a lot of kids in this area within the 1 mile of 6,000. Yeah.
I think if you look, this is interesting to me of the occupation stuff. If you look at what are the top fields in our area, the top industries that are within 1 mile, it looks to me like education and healthcare are number one by numbers, and then right below that is healthcare and social assistance. Wow, that's kind of the same thing. And then professional scientific management, waste management, so city services, basically. Those are within a mile. And that pretty much stays when you keep going out to the 5 mile. You add a little bit for transportation and warehousing, but those are the main fields by the numbers. Mm-hmm. So a lot of school stuff, a lot of healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, you got St. Francis right here. You got Baptist right around.
Mm-hmm. Lots of schools and hospitals.
Yep. I don't know what the other one is, but I know there's another one.
Schools and hospitals, basically. All right. And then one more that does the establishment counts within 1 mile. This was interesting. It says 20 restaurants within a mile. Does that sound right? I don't even know. And then
restaurants,
20 banks.
That sounds right.
That sounds absolutely right.
20 fast food, 14 hospital, and 14 clothing stores.
So I do find it interesting. You know, you hear growing up, there's a church on every corner here in the Bible Belt. Mm-hmm. Within a mile of us, there's only 3 churches.
That's true, and we probably could name them. Ridgeway, Mission, Balmoral.
Nah, Balmoral's not that.
They're not a mile.
They're farther.
So I don't even know.
What's the one that has the hub?
That's the Mission Church.
So I would say it's.
Oh, there's
it's
one.
Probably, I bet we're the 3rd, if I had to guess.
True. Yeah.
Duh.
So Kirby Ridgeway.
What is the other one?
Kirby Ridgeway and Mission Church. Which. Kirby and Ridgeway are older. And so they've been in the communities a little bit longer. But it's just interesting to me that we have 3 churches that are kind of running the lot here.
Interesting too. Like, how many? If there's 3 churches in a mile, but how many people within a mile? Wasn't it 7,000 plus people?
Yeah, it was 7,000.
Mm-hmm. So how crazy is it for us to be territorial with another church within a mile
insane.
When there's 7,000 people to go around between? And that's just assume. I mean, of course, people don't just go to the church that's within a mile of them.
But that's also assuming that they're right next door. They're on the edge of the mile, and they have that whole other bit.
Right.
I mean, imagine this. If you divided the 7,000 by 3, I know I didn't do that. That's 2,333 people in congregations. Could you imagine that?
No, I'm sure we can't. Ridgeway can't. Maybe,
no,
maybe Mission
I know,
can,
but like to think of that, that's like a mega church.
Right. Just made up from the people within 1 mile.
Just 1 mile, then it gets to 223,000.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
5 miles, like.
Right. The point being is that there's really no point in thinking territorially at all. There's way too many people for that.
I think it's interesting that it says there are 0 medical clinics within a mile of us. I can think of like 6.
Well,
yeah, I would have
maybe
to,
they're brand new.
I'd have to define what a medical clinic is.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because they say 2 hospitals within this area. Mobile
yeah,
phone,
but what's across the street?
It literally says mobile phone shop 0. AT&T's in our parking lot.
I feel like they're missing some things.
Yeah, I know this is 2020, but I remember in high school that AT&T shop was there.
Yeah, and there's that medical office across the street.
Yeah. Storage 0.
Quick, Jared, count all the restaurants.
Oh, yeah, I got that on speed dial. Was that a fat joke? All right. So let's kind of zoom out here. What are some things, this is kind of what you started with, Dillon. What are some things that might be good if you were thinking like a missionary? What might be some good things to know or do with this information?
There isn't a overly skewed age range. Mm-hmm. It is pretty even out to the 5 mile. It drops off with the 80 plus as you get to 5 miles out, but it's very even. So there's a lot of families, but there are also a lot of empty nesters and senior adults out there that are right within our area.
So should make an attempt to provide a blended range of
services.
So of what we do basically. Don't try to target one to the detriment of the other.
And I mean that's one of the values that we said was very important to us. And it's it's nice to see that the community around us is like that. Like I know of a church down in it's somewhere South Texas that it's a very much a retirement community. And so their kids ministries are hard to have because it's 60%, 60 plus. Of just this town because it's a retirement community, like the whole town is, and but we're not that way. That's not what's going on here. So,
I'd also say too, like the income levels suggest that we don't live in a particularly poor part of Memphis. So that's our church in the way we do ministry is not necessarily, only able to do ministry to like compassion ministries or relief ministries. We do those, obviously. We have the food box giveaways and things like that, and we do benevolence ministries. But we live in an area that should be able to support financial giving and should be able to support giving to missions causes and things. And we see that, but the numbers do portray that people there are incomes that can support giving in our area.
So I just noticed that the AT&T is literally on the map.
Yeah, it is
here that they gave us. That says no mobile.
Hey, look, 2020 was a rough year. Okay, we gotta get people give some breaks. This is gonna sound cheesy, but I think this should show us that there's an opportunity for every age at our church and in the community. You know, I'm thinking about
what I said.
A lot of people. I can't remember what you said. Okay, like a lot of people are like, "What can I do?" Like, I feel like a lot of times it falls on us as staff and a lot of our high caliber volunteers, which is what we get paid to do and we love to do. You know, but like looking at these demographics of if we have such a median of the age groups, like we can have tons of ministries doing things like senior adults and kids and students and adult ministries. Like, I think that should encourage us that like we're not heavy kids or heavy senior adults. It's a blended age of like the fact that one of our mission statements is multi-generational and our community is multi-generational should be a testament to God and where he has us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's good when your values match reality.
Yeah.
You know, you started off mentioning the schools that are nearby. I think the data on the back and where people work prove that, you know, that we are surrounded by schools. And so just thinking about those connections, you know, what would a missionary do if they knew that they lived within, you know, a mile or two of 4 or 5 schools? You know, you'd be thinking about, well, how do I get in there? How do I reach them? How do I have ministries that reach them? I think we can say the same thing in our specifically 1 mile. I mean, you just think about what we're surrounded by. International Paper is right across the street. We do allow them to come in and use our facility. We try to build relationship with them. It's hard with secular corporations, but we try. And
banks.
You know, we have these massive finance centers around us. I mean, is there some way that we could, you know, have
coffee and donuts?
You know, so you know that's for us to think about. But that's just, you know, we also have a few medical. I know that there's a couple of assisted living places really, really near us and where senior adults do live, and it's not like they're unable to, you know, participate in church life. I mean, they are. It's assisted living. So,
and I mean, even past just the mile, there's a lot of people that work in the medical field. Mm-hmm. So going and ministering to them in the hospitals, if possible, you know, trying to figure out how to do that.
Right. So, you know, just something to take away from all this is, you know, get to know the city where you live as it actually is. Look at the numbers, and because a lot of times your perception, I don't know what we would have said if we would have said, you know, try to guess this, if it would have been exactly like this or not. But it's good to look at the data of where you live so that you're informed enough to know about the place where you live, because missionaries need to know, and we are trying to think like missionaries to reach the city where we live. So hopefully this has helped you guys just get a little picture of the demographics of our immediate 1 mile, 3 mile, and 5 mile area. And you can think missionally as you go about your week. So thank you guys for listening to the Off Script podcast. We hope to see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.